Hey guys, very good to meet with all of you. I just heard you were coming for the 4-week session, right? And are most of you guys 22? Older? Lower? Yeah. Who's older than 30s? I've got some guys like myself. So I was pretty impressed that at the age of this time that you were listening to how to start up another company. I remember when I was in 22, my dream is to be a professional Starcraft player. And I was spending all my summers, well, my classmates are doing summer interns in everywhere, and I was practicing my mouse clicks for Starcraft. That was what I spent most of the time. And unfortunately, when I went to JP Morgan afterward, the side effects of playing Starcraft a lot of time is I'm actually very good in using keyboard. And then I joined a team in JP Morgan doing a leverage buyout. And most of the task was, as an investment banker, was building models, building LBO models. So one of my skill set was building a very sophisticated $10 billion leverage buyout model within less than 30 minutes using all keyboard without mouse. That's because of the Starcraft. So I think, but compared to you guys, you're doing way better. Anyway, coming to what we're doing. So what I want to spend a little bit on 5 minutes to introduce what EverString is, and then spend 15 minutes talking about how I found EverString, and leaving the most of the time for you to ask questions. Here's some of the problem we see. Most of the SaaS softwares do not think. So Salesforce, Workday, Slack, Zenefits are the 4 top and fastest growing SaaS softwares in the space, but they're just workflow tools, right? And then not only because they're a workflow tool, the second thing is when you are using the software, you accumulate a lot of the internal data. When you're using Salesforce, every single sales transaction was actually accumulated, but not too many people are making use of that. When you're using Zenefits, you're actually accumulating a lot of the HR data, but no one is using that. The third thing is, right now, most of the business decisions are still made by humans via intuitions. So that's why they use softwares, but none of the decision is made by machines. And our goal, the vision of EverString, is to bring AIs into the corporates to hopefully one day help corporates to make decisions done by machines. And in the past, people make decisions with a CRM or email tools or sales acceleration tools, and none of that. I can't think. And one thing that inspires us is IBM. That before that, they have the Deep Blue, and then they launched something called Jeopardy. What they did is they trained a machine to read all the Wikipedia, and then they used that knowledge to compete with human on the who has better knowledge about some business objects, etc. So one of the ideas we have, what if we have the machine to analyze every single company's, every single website out there, and then use that knowledge to help sales and marketing to predict who's their next customers. So this is our first applications. It's an EverString predictive platform. So we do one thing, is predict who's the next customer. The way how we do it is, on one side, we link to our client CRM and marketing automations and email tool, etc. On the other side, because we're only analyzing their CRM, there's nothing we can learn about that. So to make it simple, we try to learn. So for example, Microsoft is one of our customers. So when we are working with, let's say, Office 365, they want us to figure out who is more likely to purchase an Office 365. So what we did is analyze historically who are the customers. And at the same time, we analyze historically who are not the customers, who we engage with but never convert. So once we have that knowledge, but we still cannot make any prediction because that's just your information. It's a bunch of emails and company names. So how do we make predictions? So on the other side, we have the machine to actually crawl all the information about those companies and people to find who they actually are. When we analyze those companies, we figure out what does the company do? What are their product offerings? Who are they hiring? What's the management team look like? And then to answer one question, for all the customers that have originally purchased your product, there must be something in common. We try to figure out what exactly is that. And for all the people in the leads that never convert, there also must be something in common, and we're trying to figure out what exactly are those ones. And then by combining our clients' data with the internet's data all together, and in between we use heavily on the machine learnings, and we're able to, as of today, every single company that uses our predictive platform saw about 380% lift, meaning before they use EverString, let's say their average conversion rate from the raw lead all the way to convert is 2%, we're able to triple that. So what does it mean if we can triple your conversion rate? That means we can triple your net new revenue generations. And then we start with predicting who. We're predicting who is the next audience. And down the line, we're also helping clients to predict when. When are they going to be converting to a customer? what's the best message to engage with them. And finally is how. How do you engage with this lead? So this is the infrastructure if you're interested, and it's 5 stacks. The bottom layer is a cloud storage infrastructure, and on top of that, we build our internal parallel computing infrastructure. And then we aggregate all the data, whether it's first-party from the clients. So for example, right now, EverString's platform, we are stuck into VMware, Microsoft, the Comcast, etc. So in every single sales transaction they see, all of the data sync in real time to EverString Cloud. So we are able to see that as well. And at the same time, we link it to all the world's data. We're doing the prediction for them in real time. When we're talking, there are 40 machines running at the same times, making predictions. And then on top of that, we have different models. And then on top of the models, we have different applications. So that's kind of in ballpark what we are doing. The core 4 technologies are web crawling and then NLP. I think if you're interested in doing a big data startup, NLP is very, very important. Machine learning obviously is very important, but how do you build a software that can utilize the real-time machine learning is fairly complicated. And then finally is the company semantic graph. This is how we view the space is going to evolve. In the past 30 years ago, it's more about data storage, data warehouse. And then you see a lot of workflow softwares coming up like Salesforce, Siebel, and like Marketo, etc. And then you move on to another space where we call business intelligence. But what they're actually doing is just visualizations, where Tableaus, Qlik, Domo, these kind of companies come into being. And then in the last 2 years, the hottest thing right now in the Valley about B2B space, especially on the SaaS software, is about predictive. How can I really use the machine learning to help clients to make predictions? And then where my personal view of how the market is evolving is from predictive to prescriptive. Not only predict who's your next audience, but also recommend the next best action. How do you deal with that? And finally, it's really moving to the AIs. Not only we recommend action to you, but also take the action for you. So that's kind of ballpark on where we are right now. I think we are still in the predictive space right now. And that's kind of pretty much what we are doing.